cars we could drive, what places at church, what pews that we could fit in, and we had leg room and stuff. And they had everything, which friends we would go out with on which nights. They had everything planned out. So they said all we had to do was now create a new environment around us that were supporting those healthy behaviors. So they said once they had that in place, it wasn't all that hard for them to continue. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I see that a lot, you know, like, especially women who are trying to be healthy. And if they don't have a supportive husband, for example, that's a very tough one. You know, whether the husbands are complaining that they're spending money on my programs, or they're not happy with the new eating choices that are trying to be implemented in the house, it's very, very tough to go against that. And I'm not saying go get a divorce from your husband, but you're going to need some other healthy support network people in your life to empower you, because you know, if everyone else is going out and ordering appetizers and drinks and desserts every time, and you're the only one, you know, with your whatever, your chicken salad and saying no to the desserts and getting water, you're going to feel weird and outside. But if you surround yourself with people who are really healthy and that's their normal thing, you're going to feel weird if you are doing the opposite of it. So, you know, I'm a personal trainer. I hang around a lot of, you know, fitness people. So for me, if I were to start to gain weight, or if I started to slack my workouts, or if I started picking out on food consistently, I would feel like an outsider within my own peer group. Okay, so you don't have to become friends with personal trainers and things like that, but what you do is you got to find people who are motivated to change and committed to it. And with that, I believe that's the only way you're going to succeed long term, because willpower can only get you so far, and we all know that in America there's so many different ways to mess up, and they're encouraging you to be lazy, to not move, to eat fast food, to eat processed food, and just slack off. So you're going to need that support network around you. You guys may remember it was a huge thing when it came out. I think it was like 3 years ago. I think it was a New York Times article, but it was a research paper that came out. I think it was using the Framingham study, which is like a massive, 100,000 plus study with people, and they found the quote that got passed around is, "Do your friends make you fat?" You guys remember that one? It was all over the place, and the media ran with it, but they found incredibly high correlation between 40% and 100%, depending on the relationship. When one person gained weight, the others gained weight. So whether it was a spouse, a sibling, a best friend, everyone in all those situations, a 40% to 100% greater chance that person would too. Because then your norms, you know, oh, everyone else, you know, is eating their whole meal at the restaurant, I should do that too. And then you get comfortable with a certain standard, and then that standard becomes the norm. And I think that's what is becoming America's problem, is everyone's standards have been, you know, lowered so much when it comes to health and fitness that we just think it's the norm. You know, I think, even for me, like, I'm not a fan of walking, but like, even thinking about walking a mile, I'm like, oh man, that sounds, you know, that's lame, that's boring, or I don't feel like doing that, you know, I'm lazy. And I'm thinking about 50 or 100 years ago, that's something they, you know, kids went to school that way, they had to work the fields. I mean, that was just part of daily life in most places in the world. It still is like that. So we've gotten accustomed to such an unbelievably sedentary lifestyle that we don't even know anything differently. So we got to break that. So that's environment. That's what I'm going to talk about with that. But if you can't, you know, and this is a great place. You guys all have each other's support spiritually. All you got to do is kind of, you know, include the health and fitness aspects to it, and you'll be good. Okay, so nutrition. We'll go nutrition next. This is a massive topic. I can't really spend much time on it today with it. That's why I gave you the handouts. So actually, my mom helped me out with it. You guys got the 50 healthy snacks, right?
Yep.
Those one of the handouts. Okay, so 50 healthy snacks you guys can take. Most kids like most of the things on there. And one of my rules, I guess I'll go into the rules of eating. One of my rules is always combining a protein or fat with a carb. Okay, so don't eat fruit by itself, don't eat crackers by themselves. You shouldn't eat crackers too often anyways. But any sort of carbs, don't eat them by themselves. The reason is, one of my weight loss and energy and health, I don't know what's the word, points is that you want to be able to keep stable blood sugar levels throughout the day. That's one of the most important things. I mean, diabetics, for example, they can't control this. It goes up and down, up and down. So when you get a big sugary meal, and you got the energy, then you got the crash. The crash is where the blood sugar is getting taken out of the blood and getting deposited into the fat cells. Alright, so if that's going on constantly throughout the day, you're more moody, and you're starting to eat more because your energy levels are low, you're crabby. It's a bad cycle. So we want to try to keep as even keel as we can. And in order to do that, one way we can do that is eat fats and proteins with the carbs. If you're just eating carbs empty, they're going to be going into your blood sugar levels very quickly. But if you eat that with a fat or protein, it slows the breakdown in the stomach, releasing the sugar into the blood a lot slower, and therefore decreasing the amount of the roller coaster, okay? So with those snacks, all of them have a protein or fat with the carbs, so that fulfills the rule of that. And experiment with those. Try a couple of them out each day. Get your kids accustomed to them. It takes kids many times to like a certain food, so keep trying to reintroduce it into their diet. And eventually most kids will like most of the things. So a couple of my other philosophies, I think it was Michael Pollard, some of you guys probably heard of him. He says, he doesn't believe in like a no carb or a no fat diet. He just believes in a no crap diet. I mean, and most of us know this, and we just don't obey it. But just a couple things you can do if you're not sure if it's bad food or not is just look at the food label. If it has many more than 1 or 2 lines on it, chances are it's not very good for you. The more ingredients on the list, the more processed it's going to be. If your grandma or great grandma doesn't know what it is, then you probably shouldn't be eating it. So, like Go-Gurts, for example, because your grandma did not know what a Go-Gurt was. So those are a couple of just really big tips to look for when you're eating. Eating as single ingredients as you can, so fresh ingredients, fruits and vegetables, nothing too rocket science. A couple things that I do see a lot of people making mistakes on is, especially women, they're under eating protein. That's a big one. I believe for fat loss purposes, a higher protein diet is the best way to go. Atkins did have that part right, because we're eating way too many carbs in our society. Carbs are, I would say, one of the biggest culprits in it. So, how much protein is enough? If you ask the American Dietetics Association, they would disagree with this. They would say probably about, so if you're 130 pounds of ideal body weight, 130 pounds, they would say you need about 50 to maybe 60 grams of protein. Looking at all my fitness friends and pretty much how we do it, we try to get in almost a gram per pound of body weight. So I would say at least 90 grams, 90 to 120 grams of protein each day. And that's very difficult for many people to do. Because women have a hard time metabolizing or breaking down or utilizing more than like 25-ish grams of protein per meal. So you need to be eating small, frequent meals. You guys have all probably heard that one. Eat small meals throughout the day. I do think it's better because, again, it maintains your blood sugar levels throughout the day. And psychologically, if you know every 3 hours you're going to be eating something, it's a lot easier to say no to that junk or that, if you're walking by, most of you guys probably don't have a 9-to-5 job. If you're walking by, the muffins at the cubicle next to you, you're not going to stop and say, oh, in an hour or 2 I'm going to be eating again. So I think psychologically it's good. Also physiologically it's good to do that. So, it doesn't have to be 6 meals a day. Some people, if they're eating 2 meals a day right now, try to eat 3 or 4 meals. Just try to